Jamal Murray's been the talk of a lot of NBA scouts lately, and some even have him pegged to go as high as number 3 in the NBA draft. Does he deserve this talk and attention? You're watching James Carter TV.
Yeah, looking like a trouble when I walked in the building. That mean I got something expensive. Know my friends, they killing. All these hoes I'm killing.
Hello and welcome to James Carter TV. Today I'm going to give you the scouting report, my scouting report on shooting guard Jamal Murray out of Kentucky. And yes, I said shooting guard. I'm going to get into his strengths, his weaknesses, give you a 5-year statistical projection, and also give you his best fits and my overall grade on this prospect. And yes, I think he's a shooting guard and nothing else. I'm going to get into this in this video. A lot of people want to view him as a combo guard. I am not on this train at all, but we're going to start on a positive note. We're going to start with his strengths, and number 1 is his three-point shooting ability. By the way, if you watch my Buddy Hield video, you're going to hear a lot of similar things today because they're very similar players are Jamal Murray and Buddy Hield. But there are enough differences there to differentiate them and to rank them one by one. So with that said, three-point shooting ability, and he shares this with Buddy Hield. Absolute lights-out shooter from 3. More so with Jamal Murray, though, off of screens, so deadly. I mean, in terms of being a guy that can catch a ball off the screen and not really have his feet set. I mean, you can set your feet when you're going up, but your momentum still carrying him. His momentum will still be carrying him, swaying him to the other direction. Doesn't matter. He'll be swaying and still getting his shot off clean and getting absolutely great percentages off of screens, about 1.25 points per possession off screens was Jamal Murray from 3-point range. And this is something that is so valuable in the NBA now, especially if you can go to a team with an offense that utilizes these screens, that gets shooters open, and he can have a good point guard. If he can have a good point guard to set him up with these off-ball screens, I think this is something that you're really going to see him really excel at the NBA level. He excelled in college. He excelled in high school, because I even went back to his high school tape and watched him there. Off of screen, so valuable in transition. Find him. He's open for 3. He knows where to go, and he knows how to knock down these shots. Is tremendous, excellent three-point shooter shot. 40% in college, 78% free throw. I expect those numbers to even improve eventually in the NBA, but for now, really good as it is. Next strength, and the last strength, he really has some crafty finishes at the rim. He's really developed a good floating game. He was 18 of 41 on floaters this year, and you can see that on the film. A guy knows how to lay it up, get it over big men, be a little crafty. Got some nice dunks in there, got some crafty layups, some crafty finishes around the rim. So a nice potential there to even improve upon what he did in 2015-16 collegiate season. So that's another strength for me. Unfortunately, those are my only 2. Now, those are big too. I mean, that's a big part of your offensive game right there. But the problem is, beyond that, there's not much. Let's get into it. Number 1, he's not athletic. He had a couple dunks here and there, but really we're talking about defensively, and that's my second weakness. His on-ball defense is horrific. His off-ball defense is pretty bad. The on-ball defense is the worst because he just doesn't have the lateral quickness to keep up with a lot of these guards. Point guards, shooting guards, occasional small forwards just get past him. I mean, consistently, play to play, he can't keep up with the fast guards at the collegiate level. Definitely won't be able to do it at the NBA level when he goes up against that type of athletic talent. Just cannot, really can't keep up with them. Doesn't have the awareness in terms of reaching and trying to steal for the ball. I mean, he averaged about a steal per game, but that's pretty par for the course in college. Don't expect that to be tremendous at the NBA level. So really, an average only 0.3 blocks per game. A wingspan isn't very impressive. A 6'7" wingspan for a 6'4" guy, not very impressive. So his defense is a big issue. And it all really just depends, all based on the fact that he's not a great athlete right now. More so I think he's pretty bad in isolation. I mean, he was the guy at Kentucky that was their best player, a guy that got a lot of the ball, a lot of the opportunities to score in isolation. I don't think he was very good. He can't really create his own shot. In college, he really couldn't do it, and he did it a good amount. But in terms of like when he has the ball, right? He's in isolation, ISO. He's alone. Get out of my way. I'm gonna score. Really didn't do it much. His pull-up game is pretty weak. He can't get past and turn the corner on a lot of the collegiate defenders will struggle with that at the NBA level. So when you give him the ball with a minute left in the game, you say we're down by 2, give me some points here. Good luck, because I can't trust him to get those points. Not very good in isolation right now. And because of that, he cannot be your best player. He probably may not even be able to be your second best player, because you just can't rely on him. You can't give him the ball in isolation and be able to expect him to pull up and get nice points consistently in isolation play. And that's a big problem for me. It's a huge problem. And when we're talking about being a top 3 pick, top 5 pick in the NBA draft, you need to be able to get those shots off in isolation and do well there. And he just doesn't have that or possess that ability right now. And my last point that I preceded this, I'm going to talk about this to begin this video. I don't think he's a point guard at all. I don't know what people are talking about. I mean, he averaged 2 assists per game in college, 2.5 per 40 minutes. I mean, he's a capable passer. I agree with that assessment, but I don't see any good passing instincts here. He had more turnovers than assists at the collegiate level. I don't think he sees the court very well in a half-court offense. In transition, he's pretty good, but in a half-court, he gets a lot of turnovers. His handles aren't very good at this juncture. How is he going to be able to defend these fast point guards that are known for nothing else, or maybe some other stuff, but mainly their speed? When you're going up against a John Wall, a Rajon Rondo, these guys are going to absolutely blow past you, and you won't have a freaking chance. At the shooting guard position, you'll face less of those guys. I mean, they're still going to be there. I mean, you're still going to have to go up against your fair share of fast shooting guards, but there will be less of them, right? Dion Waiters, J.R. Smith, Eric Gordon, Dwayne Wade, these guys aren't very quick right now. The shooting guard position in the NBA is pretty old. A lot of these guys are pretty old, and a lot of these guys are just shooters, which is fine, and it's going to help him. Klay Thompson isn't a great slasher, great driver, but a lot of these point guards, yeah, they're going to blow past this guy. And he's going to be a liability defensively facing a lot of these fast, quick NBA point guards. I don't think he has great vision. I think people want to put him as a point guard just so he can have some versatility to him. I don't think he's a fit there at all. I mean, he may be a point guard 5 years from now, but I don't think he's going to be a very good one. He may just be a shooting guard playing point guard. I mean, you think Russell Westbrook, a lot of people think Russell Westbrook is miscast as a point guard. You ain't seen nothing yet. Because if this guy is thrown out there as a point guard, you're not going to like what you see. So with that said, I do like this player, but I think he's only going to fulfill a very specific role at the NBA level. Now, there's a guy named Klay Thompson. The guy's putting up 26 points per game, and that's the best case scenario here. That's my first comparison for Jamal Murray. Second comparison, Ray Allen. In terms of a guy, later Ray Allen, because Ray Allen, I think early in his career was much more athletic than Jamal Murray, but later Ray Allen, a guy that just moving off his screens, his momentum is carrying him and still being able to knock down 3-pointers. I see that in Jamal Murray. I haven't seen that in a lot of other guys, but Jamal Murray also has that in Kyle Korver. All 3 of these guys, 3-point shooters. All 3 of these guys, and again, Ray Allen in the later years, differing ranges. Klay Thompson averaged 26 per game. Kyle Lowry, I'm not sure what he averaged this season, probably about, let's say, 15. I'm not sure the exact number, but around there. Ray Allen in his later years averaged about like 10. Maybe for the Celtics, maybe like 18. So what is my 5-year projection for Jamal Murray. I struggled with this. I gave Buddy Hield 19 points per game because I think and let me just say this, he's a better prospect to me. And it's hard because Jamal Murray is 19, or actually maybe 18 right now. And he's, has a 3-year plus age difference over Buddy Hield. Okay, that's great. But the problem is, Buddy Hield, you can actually rely on him in isolation. This guy's pull-up three is absolutely tremendous. You give him the ball, as Oklahoma did on plenty of occasions leading up to the NCAA tournament, in the NCAA tournament, and he'll get you some points, man. This guy can be relied upon to be your second best player, and you can actually have a pretty good team. If the New Orleans Pelicans pick Buddy Hield and Anthony Davis are going to be a damn good duo, and Buddy Hield could average 20 plus. Jamal Murray, he has a chance, definitely. The three-point shooting ability is there, but besides that, some crafty finishes inside, but I just think he's too limited offensively. So in terms of a 5-year projection, I give him this. I say 17 points per game. And I think I'm being a little generous, to be honest, but I think this is a good projection. It all depends on where he goes. Again, if he goes to the Timberwolves, for example, it's probably going to be like 15 because he's only going to be a 6-man there, probably. If he goes to Boston, it could be 20 because they're going to need to have a lot of scoring there, and no one's willing to supply it right now, so he'll average 20. So it's team dependent, but I feel good with the 17. About 4.5 rebounds per game, probably about 2.5 assists, depending if he's a point guard or a shooting guard. About a 46 field goal percentage, 39%, 40% from three. Similar to his college stats, because he played a lot in college. I don't expect much better in the NBA. I just don't see the upside. The athleticism just isn't really there. The ISO game isn't really there. I don't think it's ever going to be because he's limited athletically. And in terms of being a top 3 pick, I don't buy it. If the Timberwolves really want a 6-man at the 5 spotter, I think he's a good starter. Let me give you a grade, right? So my grade that I gave on Jamal Murray is an 80. So this puts you in the above average starter category with a chance to make an all-star. Now, this is a very small chance. That's why he's in the 80, because this is the 80 to 84 range is the range that I just qualified, the above average starter. So very low end, above average starter, but an above average starter. So this is like, is JJ Redick, right? I think that's another good comparison. So like that kind of starter. Yeah, he's a good starter, better than average starter, but not great, not going to win you games. He's probably the 5th best player on that Los Angeles Clippers team. In terms of best fits, Boston Celtics, New Orleans Pelicans, Sacramento Kings, and Toronto Raptors, the exact same teams I gave to Buddy Hield because they're very similar. The only difference here is that, again, Buddy Hield can be that guy in isolation. You can't rely upon him to be your second best player. And if you're a bad team, he can be your first best player, but you have a bad team if that's the case. So, I like him. Don't take this as me saying that I don't like Jamal Murray, but in terms of this potential great player at the NBA level, I'm just not seeing it. Until next time, James Carter TV, I'm out. Peace.